Hello, guys. During this pandemic, many of you are deciding to keep your car in storage for a few weeks or maybe even sometimes a few months. In this podcast, I'm just going to go over some tips and tricks of what to do, how to detail your car, and why is it important to detail before you store your car or keep it parked for a prolonged time, what to do with your battery sometimes, or even the exterior mechanically speaking. We're going to cover some tips on that as well. Stay tuned with the podcast with the introduction.
Welcome to the Wings Mobile Detailing Business and Automotive Podcast, the only podcast that will guide you on how to start and grow six-figure companies. As our team expand from one business location to worldwide domination, you will get step-by-step insights from a millennial franchisor and franchise owner with your host, Andre Mezalira.
So the reason you want to follow these tips in detailing the car before you store it, so it can be even more important to detail before you store it than after you bring it out. Because while the car is in storage, if you're not driving for a while and if you find dirt inside the car and you leave it there for a long time, and outside on the paint as well, bug or tar, tree saps, if you leave it there, that's going to eat through the clear coat of the car on the exterior. That is what makes the paint lose its gloss. As you all may know, is leaving the car dirty. The dirt itself corrodes through the paint, and as time goes by, it starts to lose the gloss, and there are a lot of consequences in keeping the car dirty. And especially if you're storing it for a long time, you don't want to allow time for the dirt to settle on the outside. And you also don't want to allow the car to be in storage while it's dirty inside. You know, it can be, there are a lot of problems from mice to moisture if you clean it. So there are different ways for you to clean the car. And those are the reasons, mechanically speaking as well, that you do want to take these precautions before you store your car and then after. So starting off on the how you would want to detail your car, the things that you want to do. First on the interior, you definitely want to collect any trash. You don't want to leave anything, any dirt, any food left over. You want to leave the car interior as impeccable, as clean as possible. And so, that's a simple thing. You definitely want to clean inside. You don't want any termites, getting inside your vehicle when it's parked, especially if it's parked in the shade. They'll find their way in if there's dirt inside. If it's clean inside, they're not going to go inside. So clean it off, clean any trash. If you do decide to do shampoo on the seats or the floors before you store the car, that's good. But do not leave any moisture inside the car. If you decide to shampoo, make sure to do it months before, a few weeks before. Just allow time for you to be certain that there's no moisture inside your vehicle, in the seats, the foam, and the carpeting. Because what's going to do, if you keep your car in storage under cover or on the garage in a dark place, then that's going to create moisture, and then with having moisture inside the car, and you're going to have mold afterwards. Because mold grows inside dark place and more in a place that's humid, in humid places. So that would be a perfect combination to grow mold in your car. If you guys want to know, is keep the car wet inside or a little bit of moisture and parked in a dark place. You're gonna have mold. So avoid that. Shampoo it before having enough time allow it to dry. As far as the outside goes, it's obviously great, as I said in the beginning of this podcast, to clean off any tree saps, anything that's embedded on the surface of the paint, any type of dirt. So you definitely want to degrease, do a deep wash on the outside, sometimes even do the clay bar, because the clay is going to remove any contaminants from the surface of the paint. And if you do the clay before you store the car, all those contaminants is not going to be there anymore, so it's not going to corrode through the paint while it's sitting. Clay it, wash it really good, clay it if you can. I definitely recommend, and apply good coating of sealant or wax protection. Obviously, you don't have to go crazy on the protection now if you want to protect the car afterwards, but it's still always good to at least wax the car before you store it. Apply a good coating of wax so that whatever dust that you get on the surface of the paint, there's the wax to protect for the dust or little tiny dirt to not get through the paint. So you still have the layer of wax protection. And again, after, so some people, what they decide to do is, okay, why don't I just protect my car afterwards instead of cleaning it deeply before? I just wash it after. Because if you wait for after, then you're gonna allow time. If you don't wash it before you store your car and do it only after, then you're gonna allow the time for the dirt to eat through the paint. So you're kind of defeating the purpose of protecting your vehicle. You don't want to then afterwards have to do a paint polish and protection because you lost the color of the paint for something you could have avoided. It's better to avoid it getting bad than to having it get bad and then you have to fix it afterwards. However, it's still really important if you want to do it afterwards, depending how long you keep the car on storage. If you keep the car parked for, some people do it 6, 7, 8 months, the car inside the garage. You might want to do a nice cleaning on the outside. You want to detail it again if you got some dust on there. If you want to apply the layer of protection, the sealant. Let's say you start off with the wax at the beginning and you want to do a sealant, it's fine. But at the end of the day, you're still going to have that protection there. If you use a good wax, depending how long it lasts, you're still going to have the protection in there. Interior is still going to be clean. But definitely check, if it's dirty, you definitely can vacuum again. It's totally up to you. But definitely it's more important to do it before you store your car, the treatment inside and outside. Keep it dry inside, then afterwards. And how would you store your car? The things, I'm going to get to the mechanical part, what to do mechanically speaking. But now, how to store your car, where to leave it. It varies. If you have a garage, depending where you're going to leave your car. But if you're leaving it outside, for example, you definitely would probably have to, wash your car in between so that all the dirt from the elements doesn't get in the paint again. But if you're living outside, at least don't leave it underneath a tree. Trees are bad. You're gonna get tree saps. The water, when it rains, it hits the tree. It might be like, you might think that trees are good because of the shade, but it's really not. It's gonna create, trees they throw some type of acid from the leaves and it corrodes the paint. It's better to leave it even in the sun than underneath the tree where the rain hits it and then create water spots. So definitely leave it away from any trees. There's nothing good. Away from mulch as well. Depending on the type of mulch, like regular mulch can throw artillery spores, and I can do a whole podcast on that. So as long as it's far from anything nature, it's good. But definitely, obviously, if people are keeping the car in storage, they're normally going to keep in storage, which is inside a garage or undercover. So garage is good, keep it inside a garage. If you do have a car cover, keep it in the dark. It's okay to keep it in the dark as long as you are actually, it's not wet inside the car. There's no moisture. If you have a car cover and you want to keep the car cover, you can buy different types. There are covers from $100 to $300-$400 car covers, which it differs. You definitely want to get a good cover so it seals any water. So if it rains, then water does not get inside your car. You don't want that to happen because then it's moisture again. You have the same problem. So a good car cover. When you put the car cover on, you want to make sure the car is clean because you don't want to be rubbing the cover while you're putting it on, scratching up your car. Then you might as well just not have a car cover on your car if you're going to scratch it while you're putting it on. When you take it out very carefully, preferably with 2 people. And then you're good to go from there. You got the car in a nice storage, preferably inside a garage where it's clean already, temperature controlled. It's obviously doesn't have to be if it's on the winter. There's some precautions that you're gonna take for the battery because you want to keep your car battery warm. And we're gonna go to the mechanical aspect now. So as far as the battery goes, jumping into the mechanical part. Your car's clean and everything. The battery, you definitely want to keep it charged. Otherwise, any battery, as you may know, does go bad if you leave it uncharged for a long time or storing energy inside a battery for a long time without having it, recharge. So what you want to do with your car also, besides the battery, is turn the car on every now and then. That's not only good for the battery to recharge, but also for the fluids to work around inside the car. So it's also recommended to turn the car, I would say, every once a week. If you're turning your car on, I don't think you should go more than that. So turn your car on once a week. Let it run until it warms up. Don't turn it on and off. You definitely want to let it run, let the fluids warm up the engine. If you're doing it inside the garage, make sure the garage door is open. Make sure the car cover is not on the car. And then let it run, and then the fluids is going to work around. The battery is going to recharge, but you have to do it frequently. If you don't have the car with you and you're keeping the car in storage without you having contact with it, you can either remove the battery from your car or buy a battery charger, which you can leave it plugged in the wall, but it has to be in a specific control charger you can find on Amazon to store your car. So you control the battery, you're not overcharging the battery also, so you always keep it charged. Some small things here and there, it should be good to go. Like, even if you're keeping the car for not too long on storage, it's still nice to if you're leaving the car outside for a while, it's still nice to always keep it clean. It doesn't matter. Clean it before. That's what we do with our events actually here at the company. Some small things that it's kind of, just a little tip is air pressure. You can always inflate your tires a little bit more so that it doesn't, so you still keep the good thread in the tires in good health. You can inflate. You can put fuel stabilizer if you're leaving the car inside for a prolonged period of time, and that fuel stabilizer will prevent corrosion, but only if you're leaving the car parked for 6 months or more without using the car. That it's good for you to use that fuel stabilizer. Otherwise, it should be good. And you can add fuel stabilizer to a full gas tank on your car. Changing the oil. So even before you're storing the car, it's nice to have a new oil, new filter. If you're changing the oil, do it beforehand to top up any fluids that you have on your car. So when you're turning on, you don't have gunked old oil inside your engine, corroding inside. So it's always good to keep everything clean, everything new, everything changed. Whatever you got to do it beforehand. And the last thing that you can do is leave the emergency brakes off, and so it's not crushing against the pads or the drums. Guys, that was the last thing. So overall, keeping the car clean, no moisture inside. Again, keeping the battery charged. That's all you need, mechanically speaking. And you should be good to go. Take your car out. It's still going to be clean. If not, you just dust it out. You can do another wash after you get it off the storage. Do another wash afterwards, and you can drive down a clean, nice car. And it's been protected, and the paint has been protected for this entire time. So you're not having any corrode, any loss of gloss, or interior termites per se. Thank you so much for listening, guys. There is a blog also, franchise.wingsmobiledetailing podcast. Sorry, franchise.wingsmobiledetailing.com. And you guys can check out if you'd like to read more about it. Thank you so much. Bye.